right, let's jump into this deep dive into Hydra by Canibus.
Yeah,
We're going to be focusing on the wordplay
absolutely.
and really kind of like unpacking the deeper meaning.
Layered meanings, yeah.
Yeah. So are you ready to unpack some bars with me?
I'm ready.
Awesome. So right off the bat,
Right away.
Canibus says, I'm from a planet called Xanatos Gambit, but now I'm just regular old Canibus.
Oh, yeah.
What is the deal with this Xanatos Gambit thing?
So, the Xanatos Gambit is like a strategy where every possible outcome
Oh, wow.
benefits the strategist.
Oh, so it's like a win-win no matter what.
Pretty much, yeah. It's like
Yeah.
you're setting things up in a way that no matter what happens,
Wow.
you come out on top.
So is he saying that he's like a master manipulator or something?
Well, he's definitely setting himself up as someone who's calculated right.
Right.
Like he's thinking several steps ahead, so
Yeah.
it makes you wonder what his true intentions are.
Right, because then he immediately goes into calling himself regular old Canibus.
Yeah.
So it's like, is that genuine or is that part of the gambit?
It's a good question, right? It's like, is he trying to lull us into a false sense of security? Or is he being sincere?
Yeah, and that kind of leads us into another theme that we see throughout the song,
What's that?
which is this idea of technology and violence.
Right.
Like, he uses a lot of imagery of weapons.
Yeah.
Lines like Sky Hero drones and Helium-3 weapon kits.
Oh, yeah. He definitely paints a picture of a future that's kind of unsettling.
Yeah, it's like a very like technologically advanced, but also very dangerous.
Yeah, like technology has this potential to be used for good or for bad.
Right.
And Canibus is definitely focusing on the darker side of that.
Yeah, and it makes you think about, all the advancements that we're seeing in the real world
Absolutely.
with drones and surveillance and, all this stuff.
It's like he's tapping into those anxieties that we all have.
Yeah, exactly. Like,
Yeah.
is this the direction that we're headed in?
Right.
And that's where that line about 911 emergency FaceTime decreases the wait time.
Yeah, that one's creepy.
Yeah, it's very creepy.
It's like everything is being watched, right?
Yeah, like Big Brother's always there.
Like a digital panopticon.
Exactly. And
Yeah.
it makes you wonder, have we already crossed that line?
It's a question we all have to ask ourselves.
Yeah, and he takes it even further with this whole biotechnology angle.
Oh, yeah.
Like, they add the virus to the cocktail, then stir.
Right.
Like, what is going on there?
It's playing on those fears of like biological manipulation,
Right.
Like, are our bodies being used against us?
Yeah, and who is this they?
Yeah, that's the big question, right?
Is it the government? Is it corporations?
He leaves it open to interpretation.
Yeah, very mysterious, but it's definitely like tapping into some real anxieties that people have.
Oh, absolutely. Especially in light of, recent events.
Yeah, the pandemic and everything.
People are a lot more aware of these things now.
Right. But the interesting thing is, even though Canibus is presenting all these like really dark themes, he's not just like passively accepting them,
No, he's not.
There's this real sense of defiance in his lyrics too.
Absolutely. He's not going down without a fight.
Yeah, like that line, I'm gonna break you off, you're gonna take this jab, I'm gonna make you cough.
That's powerful.
Yeah, it's like he's saying, you're not gonna silence me?
He's pushing back against those forces that are trying to control him.
Yeah, and the way he uses imagery to convey that defiance is just so vivid.
Oh, yeah. Give me an example.
Like when he compares himself to a polar bear getting his hair combed in a cold, isolated room.
Oh, wow. That's a good one.
What do you make of that?
Well, it's like he's trapped, right?
Mm-hmm.
But he's still dangerous. Like, even in captivity, that polar bear is not to be messed with.
Right. He's still got that power.
Yeah, it speaks to that resilience of the human spirit,
Yeah, even in the face of oppression, there's still that fight. And that kind of leads us to another interesting aspect of Hydra, which is the way Canibus embodies all these different personas throughout the song.
Right. He's not just one thing.
Yeah, he's a champion.
Yeah.
He's a regular guy. He's an aggressor. He's a commentator.
Like he's trying on different masks.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And it makes you wonder, which one is the real Canibus?
Or are they all part of him in some way?
Right. Like, is he exploring different facets of his own identity?
It's a fascinating question.
Or is he challenging us to see the world from multiple perspectives?
I think it's both,
Yeah.
He's making us question our own assumptions about who he is and what he represents.
And that's what makes his work so compelling, right?
Absolutely.
He's not giving us easy answers.
No.
He's making us think.
He's making us work for it.
Yeah, and that's what we like.
That's what keeps us coming back for more.
Absolutely. So for our listeners who are really like digging this and they want to hear more Canibus, where would you point them?
Oh, man. Well, if you want to hear more of his, spoken word stuff,
Yeah.
really get into his headspace, I'd recommend his podcast, C Radio.
Oh, yeah.
It's on Spotify.
So,
And then if you want like more of the battle rap stuff,
yeah.
the collaborations he does with other artists, check out his YouTube channel, Rippers Unite.
Rippers Unite.
Yeah.
All right, so we'll put links to those in the show notes.
Definitely.
And, yeah, we'll be back in just a minute to really dig into some specific lines from Hydra.
Let's do it.
And, like, unpack all the wordplay and the deeper meanings that Canibus is weaving into his verses.
Can't wait.
All right, we'll be right back.
All right. Welcome back to our deep dive into Hydra.
Back into the Hydra.
We've been talking about some of the big ideas. You know, the technology, the violence, the control.
Yeah, the vibes.
The vibes. But now I want to get granular. I want to zoom in on Canibus's use of language.
Yeah, let's talk about that wordplay because it's next level.
It is. He's like a master craftsman with words.
It's like a verbal engineer.
It's exactly like he's building these intricate puzzles with his rhymes.
Yeah, and there's so much fun to unpack.
Yeah, they are. So let's take a look at this line. My verses are reverse-engineered gull-wing kit.
Okay.
Now, at first glance, it might seem like a simple car reference.
Yeah, going Mercedes.
Right. But there's so much more going on there.
It's deeper than that.
It is. What do you think he's getting at with that reverse-engineered part?
I think it's like he's saying he's taking something complex and breaking it down.
Mm-hmm.
And then rebuilding it in his own way.
Yeah, like he's deconstructing the conventional way of rapping.
Right.
And creating something totally new and innovative.
And unique to him.
Exactly. It's like his own personal style of lyrical engineering.
Yeah, and that Gullwing reference, like, those cars are known for their precision.
The performance.
Their style.
It's all about craftsmanship, right?
Yeah, so it's like he's saying his lyrics are just as meticulously crafted.
Of a high-performance machine.
Okay, I'm with you on that one.
All right, let's try another one.
Hit me.
My wolves look like 64-legged spiders with 8-headed hydras breathing through cannabis breathalyzers, brought to you by Pfizer.
Okay, whoa, that's a mouthful.
It is, right. It's a lot to unpack.
So many layers.
But that's what makes it so interesting.
So let's start with those 64-legged spiders with 8-headed hydras.
All right, so right away we've got these mythical creatures.
Yeah, like straight out of Greek mythology.
Right, and they're being combined in this really bizarre way.
Yeah, what's up with the 64 legs?
Well, the Hydra is known for its regenerative abilities, right?
Yeah, like you cut off one head, 2 more grow back.
Exactly. So it's a symbol of resilience, something that can't be easily destroyed.
So is he saying his wolves are like that too?
I think so, yeah. Like they're constantly evolving, adapting to any threat.
And maybe that 64 is a reference to something specific.
It could be there are 64 codons in the genetic code.
Oh, wow. So maybe he's hinting at, like, genetic engineering.
Yeah, like his wolves are not just powerful, but also meticulously designed.
Almost like super soldiers or something.
It's a cool idea, right?
Very sci-fi.
It is. And then he throws in that cannabis breathalyzers brought to you by Pfizer.
What's that about? That's where the social commentary comes in.
Oh, I see it.
He's bringing in a major pharmaceutical company.
Pfizer.
Right, and he's suggesting that they have a hand in creating these creatures.
It's like they're sponsoring this whole operation.
It's like he's satirizing the way corporations try to brand everything.
Even mythical beasts.
Exactly, and that word breathalyzer is interesting too.
Because it makes me think of like alcohol testing.
Right, but also surveillance, like your breath is being monitored.
Oh, wow. So it's like another layer of control.
Yeah, like even something as basic as breathing is being watched.
That's creepy.
It is, and it makes you think about all the ways that we're being tracked and monitored in the real world.
Yeah, like our phones, our computers.
There's smart devices.
It's everywhere.
Cannabis is tapping into those anxieties that we all have about privacy and freedom.
Okay, so we've talked about spiders. We've talked about hydras.
Breathalyzer.
Analyzers. Now let's talk about gardening.
All right, let's do it.
This line, guerrilla gardening, with long-forgotten techniques of Phoenician farming.
Okay, so guerrilla gardening is a form of activism.
I've heard of that.
Where people plant in neglected urban spaces.
Like reclaiming those areas for nature.
Exactly. It's like a rebellion against the concrete jungle.
And then he connects that with Phoenician farming.
Which refers to ancient agricultural practices.
So it's like he's advocating for a return to more traditional ways of living.
Yeah, like reconnecting with our roots, both literally and figuratively.
And then he throws in that detail about only charging 1 crypto farthing.
Right, bringing in the digital currency angle.
So it's like ancient wisdom meets modern technology.
Exactly, and there's a bit of irony there too.
Yeah, like even ancient knowledge can be monetized in the digital age.
It's like he's poking fun at the whole crypto craze.
But also acknowledging its potential.
Right, like it's this new frontier that's full of possibilities but also risks.
Okay, so we've covered a lot of ground here.
We have Canibus is a dense lyricist,
He packs so much into every line.
but that's what makes him so rewarding to listen to.
Yeah, it's like a treasure hunt for meaning.
And we've only just scratched the surface.
There's always more to discover.
Absolutely.
Mhm.
So keep listening, keep digging, and you'll find all sorts of gems hidden in his words.
All right, so for our listeners who want to go even deeper into Canibus's world, where should they start?
Well, I would definitely recommend his podcast, See Radio.
Yeah, that's a good one.
It's on Spotify, and he really gets into his creative process.
Like behind-the-scenes stuff.
Yeah, and then for a taste of his battle rap skills and his collaborations with other artists,
Yeah.
check out his YouTube channel, Rippers Unite.
Rippers Unite.
You won't be disappointed.
All right, so we'll put links to those in the show notes.
Definitely.
And we'll be back in just a minute for the final part of this deep dive,
Can't wait.
where we'll be dissecting even more lines from Hydra
Let's do it.
and unpacking all the wordplay and deeper meanings that Canibus is weaving into his verses.
It's going to be epic.
We're back for the final part of our deep dive into Hydra, and my brain is ready to explode.
I know, right? Canibus really packs it in.
So much to unpack, but it's fun. It's like a challenge.
It is. It's like he's throwing down the gauntlet.
And we're picking it up.
Let's do it.
So we talked about a lot of lines, but there's one that I keep coming back to.
Which one?
My wolves look like 64-legged spiders with 8-headed hydras breathing through cannabis breathalyzers, brought to you by Pfizer.
Oh, yeah. That's a classic.
It's just so dense, so much imagery, so many layers.
It's like a whole world contained in one line.
And we kind of touched on it before, but I want to break it down even further.
Oh, okay, let's dissect it.
So those 64-legged spiders with 8-headed hydras, what is he doing with that image?
Well, we talked about the Hydra before, right?
Yeah, the regenerative abilities.
Right, like you cut off one head, two more, grow back.
It's a symbol of resilience.
Something that can't be easily destroyed.
So is he saying his crew, his wolves are like that too?
I think so, yeah. Like they're constantly evolving, adapting to any threat.
And maybe that 64 is significant.
Could be like 64 squares on a chessboard.
Oh, interesting strategy.
Yeah, like every move is calculated.
Or maybe it's like 64 bits of information.
Oh, that's a good one, like a computer code.
So his wolves are like programmed for success.
Exactly. Or maybe it's both.
You know, yeah, Canibus is all about layering those meanings.
Right. And then there's the breathing through cannabis breathalyzers brought to you by Pfizer part.
That's the part that really trips me out.
Yeah, it's like, what is he saying about Pfizer?
Is he saying they're like the ones who created these creatures?
It's possible, like, he's hinting at this corporate influence.
Like even our breath is being controlled by big pharma.
Yeah, and that word breathalyzer is interesting too.
Yeah, because it makes me think of like DUI checkpoints.
Right, but also surveillance, like your breath is being monitored.
So it's like another layer of control.
Yeah, like even something as basic as breathing is being watched.
Okay, let's move on to another line that I love.
Hit me.
Guerrilla gardening with long-forgotten techniques of Phoenician farming.
Ah, yes, the gardening line.
What is he getting at there?
Well, guerrilla gardening is a form of activism, right?
Yeah, where people plant in neglected urban spaces.
Exactly, like taking back the city for nature,
And then he connects that with Phoenician farming.
which was known for its innovation and efficiency.
So it's like he's combining ancient wisdom with modern action.
Yeah, like using old techniques to solve new problems.
And then he throws in that detail about charging 1 crypto farthing.
Right, bringing in the digital currency.
So it's like ancient knowledge meets modern technology.
Exactly. And there's a bit of humor there, too.
Yeah, like even ancient wisdom can be monetized in the digital age.
It's Canibus, man. He's always playing with those contrasts.
So we've covered a lot of ground here, and I feel like we've only scratched the surface.
We have Hydra is a deep well of meaning.
But hopefully this deep dive has given our listeners a new appreciation for Canibus's lyrical genius.
He's a true master of the craft.
If you want to explore more of his work, we highly recommend checking out his podcast, See Radio, on Spotify.
And his YouTube channel, Rippers Unite.
You won't be disappointed.
Trust us.
Thanks for joining us on this deep dive into the lyrical labyrinth of Canibus. Until next time, keep those minds open and those ears tuned.
Peace out.